everyone. So second video review for this week is for Body Language by Renee. If you want to check out my review, I have just posted that. So if you're on YouTube, there's a link in the description below, and if you're on Facebook or on my blog, then there is a link within the post. And this is the video review. So Body Language by Renee was a really beautiful story. It's about Mika. She finds herself having to sort of stand on her own 2 feet when her latest lover sort of heads off in a new direction in life, having sort of found a better deal. And Mika finds herself back at college, finally trying to achieve a degree, but she's struggling a lot until her professor enlists the help of Professor Jenny Long, who happens to be her friend, to sort of help Mika to achieve what she needs to achieve. So she's really hesitant to accept the help from Jenny. She doesn't want to be pitied, and she doesn't want to come across as stupid. She doesn't want to feel like that. But when it becomes apparent that she can perhaps help Jenny in return, because Jenny's very body conscious, Mika comes around to the idea, and they sort of make a bit of an arrangement that suits them both. So they both are off on a journey where they're going to be learning and discovering new things about themselves, which is really great. But like I say, it was such a beautiful story, and it was very passionate, and it was so much more than I initially bargained for. I'd seen people talking about this book, I had heard great things, and I was like, oh, it's really great that somebody's written sort of a story that's about sort of the average person, or bigger people, than all the Hollywood perfection that we usually get, because the characters in books are usually pretty perfect, even if they're flawed. So it was great to have a character like Jenny introduced, but I got so much more than I initially bargained for from the story, because like I say, not only do I love the idea of what the story promotes, which is that you should be confident and everything, it has this super gorgeous cover. It's really enticing, and before I even knew what the book was about, it made me want to pick it up because it was different, and I love that cover. If you haven't seen it yet, you've got to see it. It's so lovely. So it made me want to pick it up without even reading the blurb. And when you've got a cover like that, it's really powerful, and then when you get a story like this, it's just like a little gem. So I'm so glad that I did. The whole story was very emotional, and even if you've never been in either of the characters' shoes, you could really relate, and I most certainly did relate with them. So I absolutely loved Mika. She was so confident, and yet deep down, all her struggles to succeed, they made her really vulnerable. So she was quite closed, and she was quite although she was that type of person that's always smiling, but then behind, you have no idea what's going on with them. And she sort of, who she actually was and who you saw were almost like completely different people. So the fact that she had this vulnerability, that made it, that was wonderful, because it meant there was this ability to bring out the best in Jenny, and she was so accepting of her, and she could just see past all the physical, which it just made me love her. She just saw right past that, and she saw a person rather than physical, and it wasn't based on that. So I was rooting for Mika to succeed in everything and get all that she deserved from that very first chapter, that very first meeting with her. But when we met Jenny, oh my god, one way or another, I think we've all experienced what Jenny was going through. Maybe not for the same reasons as Jenny, but we all have our hang-ups, and we're all conscious about something about ourselves, or whether it be physical, whether it be mental. We all have a hang-up somewhere. If you don't, I'm worried about your conscience, because we all have them. And so I felt sort of overwhelmed with emotion for Jenny, because she's very conscious of her weight, and I'm very conscious of mine. And for me, it's always something that everyone always tells me I shouldn't be, and so I shouldn't compare myself to Jenny. But I can really relate, because when you don't like what you see when you look in the mirror, you don't feel confident, you do feel very insecure, and I do that all the time. So to see that reflected in Jenny was great, and Mika's affection and genuine love for her really helped her to find that confidence and to be less insecure about herself. She still was insecure, because you just won't get over some things, but it was really nice to see that she was less insecure about them when she was with Mika, as she allowed herself to be loved. And it sort of just goes to show how heavily you can be influenced by other people's opinions of you, and their perceptions. So for Jenny, it was very true. She was very much influenced not only by Mika's perception, but then family, friends, other people, past sort of influences, everything. So support's very important in helping you to believe and love yourself, I think. And without it, it's a really hard fight for you just to find a reason to love yourself. Sometimes is really difficult. And so I think that spoke to me on so many levels, because it's just basically everything that Jenny felt and went through and alluded to and gave us from this story are all insecurities and things that I constantly contemplate. So for me, it was like that real connection with her. And I think Mika and Jenny's relationship was absolutely fantastic. Their dynamic was perfect, and I just loved how Jenny was constantly questioning why Mika would want to be with her because of who she was and how she looked and everything. And again, I think that's just something we can all relate to, like all of us. I do it like pretty much every day. I question why people like me, or why they talk to me, or everything. And Jenny was very much like that too. And I think it just really spoke to me. This whole story really spoke to me for so many emotional reasons. And I just loved, like, that even Mika had those. She had those questions she was asking herself about why Jenny would want to waste all this time with her, and why Jenny didn't see what she saw and everything. And it's exhausting to face that mental struggle where you're constantly questioning, to constantly have your mind switched on, and be questioning things that some people will tell you. Like when you actually talk to people about these types of things, they say, I don't think that about you, and you've just got this perception, and it's all influenced by different aspects of your life, and you just think, wow, like the time and effort that's taken worrying about that, and then you're worrying over nothing. So it's very draining, and you could see that in Jenny. She was really getting herself worn down at times, and so you just had them try, both of them, Mika and Jenny, trying to face all these issues and problems, and it's something we all have to do. So that's what I'm saying. The story really mentally sort of highlighted that's what we struggle with. And I think it's so hard to believe that people really like you, that it was great to see that Mika and Jenny's story could provide some reassurance that it's not like that. But I think the best bit through this was that it wasn't just romance. It had this erotic edge. It was a very hot story, and it had these really steamy scenes that gave it an edge, something so much more. And Renee's basically taken what would normally have been and should have been a very sweet romance with two insecure characters, and showed that insecurity and difference is not something that should stand in the way of you feeling and being sexy and getting to enjoy all that comes with being intimate with other people. I think that's a very, very important message that she's put into this story, and that is also great because anyone who has these insecurities about how they look or how they feel, again, they just need to hear that sometimes. It's really reassuring that characters can show that does happen. You can get over that if you try. And I loved that Renee just took the everyday, what is actually quite a sensitive subject for so many people, but one they can all relate to, and delivered it in an engaging and exciting story that I just really fell in love with. I absolutely adored reading every second of this, couldn't put it down. This was my very first book by Renee, and it definitely won't be my last, and all I can say is it's one everyone should read. So I highly, highly recommend it. It really was a fabulous story. So I'll pop a link in the description so you can go and grab a copy of Body Language by Renee Roman, which I hope you will. If you've read Body Language, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below. Please let me know what you thought of the book. What did you think of the story? How did you connect with it? It'd be great to hear your thoughts. If you haven't read it yet, but it's on your to be read list, you're planning to read it, or you're now really, really intrigued and thinking, I must read that book, again, it would be great to hear from you. So please comment below. Please let us know. And if you do read it, I hope you love it, because it is really a fabulous story. Bye.